Did you know that there are special savings accounts for people with disabilities?
And what do people receiving benefits need to know?
This is Enable, the Disability Podcast, where we share stories, experiences, support, resources, and more for people with disabilities and different abilities. We are at Enable Podcast on social media. My name is Jeff Herbert.
And my name is Kurt Hauer. We're talking with Ellen Cookman, a lawyer who specializes in estate planning for families with special needs. Thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here, you guys.
Ellen, please tell us a little about yourself and how you got involved with special needs planning.
Oh, you bet. So, out of law school, I worked for 3 long years at a big firm doing litigation, and that is not for me. I'm not a fighter. So, I didn't know what I was gonna do with my law degree, so I went to teach at a small private school that does full inclusion of typical and special needs kids. My roommate was teaching there, and while I was there, I went to a parent support group meeting where someone was talking about special needs trusts. And I remember hearing about this field and thinking, wow, I can actually help people and I can raise a family. She was 8 months pregnant with her third kid. So I thought, okay, that's a good sign. And I walked with her and she was driving black BMWs. So I thought, oh, I can actually make a living doing this. This is great too. And I had already been volunteering in the special needs community for a while. And so I looked around, I found a position doing estate planning with an emphasis in special needs planning. That was in 2008. And I've been doing it ever since then. But interestingly enough, my older son was diagnosed with high functioning autism when he was 4. So that would have been in 2016. So 8 years later, I went from being an advocate in the community to being a parent. And I love this community and I love serving everyone.
Well, Ellen, you and I, we share something in common. I also have a grandson who is on the spectrum, and he is high functioning, but we're early in our journey. And so I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. But can you explain a little bit about what is an Enable account and how they can help people with disabilities?
Oh, you got it. Okay. So an ABLE account, it stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience, ABLE. And it's basically a savings account that's modeled after a 529 plan. If you're familiar with those are education savings plans, which are typically set up so people can save up post tax money and the money grows and grows and grows. And as long as you use that money for education expenses, you don't have to pay any of the capital gains tax. So an ABLE account works the same way, but it's for somebody with a disability. You can put in money and it grows and grows and grows. And as long as you use it for what we call qualified disability expenses, which is, by the way, very broad. That includes like a trip to Disneyland. It's whatever kind of helps you enjoy life and thrive. Um, you don't have to pay the capital gains tax. So we love these. Now, there's some limitations. First of all, there's a limit on how much you can put into an ABLE account every year. And this year in 2026, that is $20,000. So usually it's the same amount as the annual exclusion amount for gift tax purposes, but it's kind of weird because the annual exclusion amount stayed at 19,000, but the amount going into an ABLE account went up to 20,000, which is good news for our disability community. So it's not really meant to supplant a special needs trust because hopefully you'll be leaving more than $20,000 of an inheritance to your disabled child. So it's really meant more for gifts and for management, like a disabled person can manage it themselves if they have capacity to do so. Um, and it's very flexible and we love them.
So, is that something that any family member or friend of the family could potentially donate to?
Yes, anyone can put money into an ABLE account, including the disabled person themselves. And if the disabled person is working, they can put an extra amount above and beyond the $20,000 of their own income into the ABLE account, into up to about $13,000 per year of income, as long as they're not participating in their employer's retirement plan. So it's kind of like setting money away for retirement. Now, once you get to $100,000 saved up in an ABLE account, your capped off if you're receiving SSI benefits, supplemental security income benefits. But if you're not getting SSI benefits, you can put in really as much as you want, although, it takes a while to get it in there because there's limits on how much you can put in, up to in California, $529,000.
You mentioned SSI benefits, and that's something that the disability community sometimes wonders about. If they're working a job, what do people receiving those benefits need to know to avoid losing that supplemental security income?
Okay. And I have a YouTube channel and I have a video called Working While Disabled. So people can watch that, but I'll give you kind of the overview. Um so if you're working and you're getting SSI, the first, I think it's like $85 is it doesn't count towards your SSI, which is nice. Okay. Then after that, every $2 of income decreases your SSI by $1. So they want people to work because otherwise any other type of income decreases your SSI dollar for dollar. So let's say you're making, $400 a month, that'll decrease your SSI by, about $150 a month, give or take 20 or so. Okay. So it's not ideal, but it and if you get even $1 of SSI, if you keep that SSI, you automatically qualify for Medi-Cal, California's version of the federal Medicaid system. So it can be really important to keep your SSI.
Well, my wife and I, we're in the stage of our lives that we're planning, for our estate, and thinking about our grandson. We want to make sure that he is taken care of. So, how is estate planning different for people with special needs or their families?
Yeah. So somebody who has special needs, there's a few concerns that they might have that somebody else might not have. The first one is if they have a disability, that means that they can't work and support themselves. When you work, you get your salary, which is your income stream, and you get health insurance. And I hope that someday in our country we'll figure out how to decouple health insurance from our employment, but we're not there yet. Oh well. And the government, if you can't work and support yourself because of your disability, the government will step in and provide an income stream like SSI or SSDI and provide health insurance like Medi-Cal or Medicare. Um, but there are some limits to how much you can have in assets and income in order to receive some of those benefits. If the money that you inherit goes straight to you, that can bump you off those benefits, which is really a problem. But if the money goes into a special needs trust for your benefit, then you can keep your public benefits. And what the special needs trust really says is somebody else is managing the money, and the beneficiary, the disabled person themselves, can't reach in or revoke the trust or control it. And because there's a gatekeeper in between them and the money, it doesn't count as their money. So the assets in the trust don't count towards the eligibility limits for those public benefits. So it's really nice. It's like a safety net. You get your public benefits, but anything that's not covered by public benefits, which is a lot of things, right? That can be covered with the special needs trust.
So, in our case, could I leave that money to my daughter, to that would be separate from him?
You could. And what we usually suggest in that situation is, your daughter gets a certain percentage of your estate, or if she's your only child, gets 100%. But then you say, but if she dies before you, which we never think of, but it could happen, then her portion will go to her kids, but your grandson's portion or your grandchild's portion goes to their special needs trust that you've created. So we just want to make sure that everybody in the family coordinates. So anything that that grandchild would otherwise receive goes to their special needs trust instead.
That's extremely helpful. Are there any other legal resources that you recommend or that are most needed for special needs families?
Oh, there's a lot. Yeah. No, well, I mean, I'm trying to think of, so there's different tools that we use in our toolbox, and each one is useful for something different, right? So we have our special needs trust, we have our able account. If you have a child who's turned 18 and they're not under a conservatorship, then they would need a durable power of attorney and an advanced healthcare directive. In fact, all of us need one. If you don't have one, you can just go online, get a statutory form, download it. That allows somebody else to sign on your behalf if you're not able to. So that's super important. Then, of course, a conservatorship can come into play if your child really can't, make decisions on the activities of daily life, on education and where they live and entering contracts and stuff. Um, I don't think every child needs to be conserved, but, there are some who do, like, if they just don't understand things, Um, or, there's also supportive decision making, which I think is really powerful, where you're basically surrounding yourself with adults that you trust to help you make good decisions, which is really what we all do. And here's an example I really like to use. Okay, so when I was in law school a while ago, my dad was the dean of a law school, and so he knew all about law school and kind of how to, what's important, how to navigate everything. And so when I had a question about law school, I would call him, right? So he was kind of my advisor or my supporter when it comes to law school. But when I had a question about dating, I called somebody else. Not like I don't trust my dad with dating, but I had some other advisors for my dating life, right? And so I think we all surround ourselves with other people to advise us. And I think it's really important to encourage your children to develop their decision making skills, whether they're conserved or not. And so this is one way kind of to formalize that. And you can just get an agreement, download it and work with your child to, start really working with the adults that they trust in their life to advise them on all the different decisions that they want to make.
Well, Ellen, thank you for taking time to share with us. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share?
I think it's so great that you guys are doing this. And when I lived a long time ago, I lived in Japan and I studied Japanese. And I remember every word that I learned, it took like 7 tries to learn it. And that I was a lot younger. And now I don't know if I'd even be able to do that. But I think that estate planning and special needs planning, it's a new language. So I just want to encourage everybody, be patient with yourself. There's a lot to learn, even though it seems like it's in English, it's not really, you know. So just keep listening to the Enable podcast. You can go online, watch my videos. There's a lot of different resources, but definitely equip yourself with knowledge. And I think that helps as special needs parents who are, we're up late at night worrying what's going to happen to our kids, right? But I think that helps our anxiety level go down as we learn more and as we apply it. So we feel like, we can sleep at night knowing that our kids are taken care of.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you again for joining us. We'll share a link to your YouTube channel and your website so our viewers and listeners can learn more. This is Enable, the Disability Podcast. We're not defined solely by the things we can't do when there's so many things we can do. We are at Enable Podcast on social media. Please like, follow, and subscribe.
Yeah, and please share this podcast with your family and friends so we can share more stories about people with different abilities that bring us all together. Thank you.